I'm so glad you're here with us today. We're diving deep into A Course in Miracles, and if you're just joining our community, you might be wondering what this course is all about. I'd love to invite you to check out the very first video on this channel, where I break down exactly what A Course in Miracles is, how it came to exist, and why it's been transforming lives for over 5 decades. It'll give you the perfect foundation for everything we explore together here. Now think about your life as a school, because that's essentially what it is. Every single day, you're learning something. Every experience is a lesson. Every relationship is a classroom. Every challenge is a teaching opportunity. You are constantly being educated, shaped, molded by the curriculum you're following. The question is, what curriculum are you enrolled in? And more importantly, who's your teacher? You probably never consciously chose a curriculum. Nobody handed you a syllabus when you were born and said, "Here's what you'll be learning for the rest of your life." But you've been learning nonetheless. You've been taught what to value, what to fear, how to relate to others, how to see yourself, what success means, what safety requires, how to handle conflict, where to find happiness. These lessons didn't come from nowhere. You had a teacher, and that teacher has been shaping your entire experience of reality. Here's what most people don't realize. There are only 2 possible curriculums you can follow, only 2 teachers you can learn from. And the difference between these 2 curriculums is the difference between sanity and insanity, between peace and chaos, between freedom and imprisonment. One curriculum teaches you lessons that lead to suffering, confusion, and endless conflict. The other teaches you lessons that lead to peace, clarity, and freedom. One keeps you trapped in a cycle of learning that never ends and never satisfies. The other offers you a complete education with a FI, guaranteed graduation. The ego has been your teacher for most of your life, whether you knew it or not. And the ego's curriculum is insane. Not insane in some dramatic, obvious way. Insane in its fundamental premises, in its twisted logic, in its contradictory lessons that can never be mastered because they're based on lies. The ego teaches you that you are separate, that you must protect yourself, that attack is justified, that guilt is real, that fear is rational, that peace comes from controlling what's outside you. And you've been a diligent student, haven't you? You've studied these lessons carefully. You've practiced them daily. And what has the ego's curriculum given you? Anxiety, exhaustion, conflict. A sense that something is deeply wrong, even when everything seems right. But there's another curriculum available to you. The Holy Spirit offers what the Course calls the Sane curriculum. Not sane because it's conventional or fits with what the world teaches. Sane because it's based on truth, leads to actual learning, and can actually be completed. This curriculum has one goal: to help you remember who you truly are and to undo every false lesson the ego has taught you. Today, we're exploring Chapter 12, Section 5 of A Course in Miracles, the Sane curriculum. And this section is going to challenge everything you think you know about learning, about growth, about what you're supposed to be working toward in this life. It's going to expose the insanity of the lessons you've been following and offer you a completely different way of learning that actually works. So take a breath. Open your mind. Let's discover together what it means to switch curriculums, to choose a different teacher, and to finally learn lessons that will actually set you free. Let's talk about the curriculum you've been following most of your life. And I want you to brace yourself, because calling it insane might sound harsh, but once you see it clearly, you'll understand why. That's the only accurate description. The ego's curriculum is built on one fundamental lesson that everything else stems from. You are separate. Separate from God, separate from others, separate from love itself. This is lesson number 1, and it's the foundation of every other lesson the ego will ever teach you. And here's why this makes the curriculum insane. It's teaching you something that isn't true as if it were the ultimate truth. From this false foundation, the ego builds an entire educational system. Once you believe you're separate, you must learn fear, because separation means vulnerability. You must learn attack, because you need to defend yourself. You must learn guilt, because you believe you've done something wrong by separating. You must learn judgment, because you need to determine who's dangerous and who's safe. You must learn to bargain, manipulate, and control, because your survival depends on managing a hostile world. And here's what makes this curriculum truly insane. It's impossibly complex. The ego takes something simple, the truth of who you are, and creates layer upon layer of confusion around it. It gives you endless rules to memorize, countless scenarios to prepare for, infinite variables to calculate. Should you trust this person or protect yourself? Should you speak up or stay silent? Should you forgive or hold the boundary? Every situation requires careful analysis, strategic thinking, constant vigilance. The lessons are contradictory. 2. The ego teaches you to love yourself, but also to judge yourself harshly. It teaches you to be confident, but also to be humble. It teaches you to go after what you want, but also to sacrifice for others. It teaches you that you deserve good things, but also that you must earn them through suffering. How are you supposed to master lessons that contradict each other? And here's the ego's real goal: keep you learning, but never graduating. The ego doesn't want you to complete this curriculum, because if you did, you'd see through it. You'd recognize that everything it taught you was based on a lie. So it designs lessons that can never be fully learned, questions that can never be fully answered, problems that can never be fully solved. Just when you think you've mastered one lesson, the ego introduces a new complexity, a new fear, a new reason why you're still not ready, still not safe, still not enough. This is why the ego's curriculum feels so exhausting. You're working so hard, studying so diligently, practicing so consistently, and yet you never feel like you're making real progress. You handle one fear and another appears. You heal one relationship and another becomes conflicted. You achieve one goal and the satisfaction is fleeting. You're always learning, always growing, always working on yourself, but peace remains elusive. And here's the most insidious part. This curriculum feels normal. Everyone around you is enrolled in the same program. The world validates the ego's lessons. Success, as the world defines it, comes from mastering the ego's curriculum. So you think this is just how life is. You think everyone struggles this way. You think suffering is the price of learning. But look at the results. After years, maybe decades of studying the ego's curriculum, what have you truly learned? How to be more afraid, how to defend yourself better, how to judge more accurately. Is this the education you really want? Now, let's look at the alternative. The key: Holy Spirit's curriculum. And the first thing you need to know about this curriculum is that it's the complete opposite of everything the ego has been teaching you. Where the ego's curriculum is complex, the Holy Spirit's is simple. Where the ego's creates confusion, the Holy Spirit's brings clarity. Where the ego's leads to conflict, the Holy Spirit's leads to peace. The Holy Spirit's curriculum starts with a completely different foundational lesson. You are not separate. You are still connected to your source, still one with love, still whole and innocent. This single truth is the foundation of everything else you'll learn, and because it's true, everything built on it actually works. From this foundation, the Holy Spirit teaches you a curriculum that has one clear, achievable goal. Remember who you truly are. That's it. Not become something you're not. Not fix what's broken. Not earn what you don't have. Simply remember what you've temporarily forgotten. This makes the entire learning process different. You're not climbing towards some distant achievement. You're uncovering what's already within you. The core lessons of this Sane curriculum are beautifully simple. You learn that love is real and fear is illusion. You learn that forgiveness releases you from the past. You learn that your innocence is intact, regardless of what you think you've done. You learn that giving and receiving are the same. You learn that your safety comes from truth, not from defenses. These aren't complicated philosophical concepts requiring years of study. They're simple truths that, once recognized, transform everything. And here's what makes this curriculum truly sane. The Holy Spirit makes learning joyful. You're not being punished for not knowing. You're not being shamed for your mistakes. You're not being overwhelmed with impossible demands. The Holy Spirit meets you exactly where you are and gently guides you forward. Every lesson is customized to your readiness. Every teaching comes with the help you need to understand it. There's no pressure, no judgment, no timeline you're failing to meet. The lessons don't contradict each other either. They build naturally, each one preparing you for the next. Forgiveness teaches you about innocence. Innocence teaches you about love. Love teaches you about oneness. Oneness teaches you about peace. It's a coherent, consistent, logical progression that actually makes sense. Now, I know this curriculum might sound radical. It goes against everything the world has taught you. It asks you to unlearn lessons that seem obvious and embrace truths that seem impossible. The world will call this curriculum naive, impractical, unrealistic. But ask yourself, is the ego's curriculum working? Is complexity serving you? Is confusion bringing you peace? Is fear making you safe? The beauty of the Holy Spirit's curriculum is that it can actually be completed. There's a graduation date. The course promises this explicitly. This isn't endless learning for the sake of learning. This is targeted education with a specific outcome. Freedom. Complete, total, absolute freedom from fear, guilt, conflict, and suffering. And unlike the ego's curriculum, which gets harder the further you go, the Holy Spirit's curriculum gets easier. Each lesson you learn makes the next one clearer. Each truth you accept makes the next one more obvious. You're not accumulating more complexity. You're stripping away illusions, simplifying, clarifying, until only truth remains. This is the curriculum that will actually set you free. Here's the truth that changes everything. You can't learn from two teachers at the same time. You can't follow two curriculums simultaneously. You're either learning the ego's lessons or the Holy Spirit's lessons. You're either being educated in fear or being educated in love. There's no middle ground. There's no hybrid curriculum where you take the best of both. Every moment you're enrolled in one or the other. This is the decision point. And it's not a decision you make once and then you're done. It's a decision you make moment by moment, situation by situation, thought by thought. Which teacher am I listening to right now? Which curriculum am I following in this particular moment? So how do you know which curriculum you're following? It's actually quite simple. Check the results. Check how you feel. If you're experiencing confusion, conflict, anxiety, or the need to defend yourself, you're following the ego's curriculum. If you're experiencing clarity, peace, and a sense of connection, you're following the Holy Spirit's curriculum. The curriculum reveals itself by its effects. Listen to the voice in your mind. The ego's lessons always come with pressure, urgency, fear. You need to figure this out right now. You need to protect yourself. You need to make sure they don't hurt you again. You need to prove you're right. The Holy Spirit's lessons come with patience, gentleness, trust. You don't need to figure this out alone. You are safe. You can see this differently. Let me show you another way. Here's the practical shift. When you catch yourself in the ego's classroom, simply say, "I've been learning from the wrong teacher. I don't want these lessons anymore. Holy Spirit, teach me instead." That's it. You don't need to fix what the ego taught you. You don't need to undo years of learning on your own. You just need to change teachers, transfer to a different curriculum. This requires two things: willingness and trust. Willingness means you're open to learning something different, even if it contradicts everything you thought you knew. You don't need to be certain. You don't need to understand how it works. You just need to be willing to consider that maybe, just maybe, there's another way to see this situation, this person, this challenge. Trust means you believe the Holy Spirit knows what He's doing. You're admitting you don't know what anything is for. What anything means how to handle this situation. And you're trusting that He does. You're surrendering your role as your own teacher and becoming a willing student again. Not a passive student who just sits back and does nothing. A willing student who actively chooses to learn what's being taught. What happens when you truly commit to the Sane curriculum? Everything starts to shift. Not overnight, not magically without effort, but consistently, surely, inevitably. The lessons that used to confuse, you start to make sense. The situations that used to terrify you start to feel manageable. The people who used to trigger you start to look different. You're learning what actually works. You're discovering truths that actually set you free. You stop exhausting yourself trying to master the ego's impossible lessons. You stop feeling like a failure because you can't seem to graduate from lessons designed to never be completed. You start experiencing what it feels like to learn from a teacher who wants you to succeed, who makes the path clear, who promises you will understand. This is the relief of switching curriculums. This is the joy of becoming a student of truth instead of illusion. This is your way out. So here we are, and you've just been given the most important choice of your life. Two curriculums, two teachers, two completely different outcomes. The ego's insane curriculum that keeps you learning endless lessons that lead nowhere, or the Holy Spirit's sane curriculum that teaches you simple truths that actually set you free. We've seen how the ego's curriculum is designed to keep you confused, conflicted, and constantly struggling. We've discovered that the Holy Spirit's curriculum offers clarity, peace, and a guaranteed completion. And we've explored how to make the shift, how to change teachers, transfer curriculums, and finally start learning what will actually serve you. The beautiful truth is this: you don't have to stay enrolled in the ego's program. You're not trapped in lessons that exhaust you and lead nowhere. You can choose differently. Right now, this moment. You can say, "I've been learning from the wrong teacher and I'm ready for a different curriculum." That choice is always available to you. And here's the relief. You don't have to figure out how to make this shift on your own. The Holy Spirit is ready to be your teacher the moment you're willing to be His student. He knows exactly what you need to learn, exactly when you need to learn it, and exactly how to help you understand. Your only job is willingness. Your only requirement is trust. Every moment is a new opportunity to check, which curriculum am I following right now? Which teacher am I listening to? And if you find yourself in the ego's classroom, you can simply choose again. Transfer. Switch teachers. Open yourself to a sane curriculum that will actually take you where you want to go. Thank you so much for being here today and exploring this profound teaching. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to switch curriculums and choose a different teacher, please hit that like button. It helps more people discover that there's an alternative to the insane lessons they've been learning. If you haven't subscribed yet, join us. We're here every single day, diving into A Course in Miracles, learning from the teacher who actually knows the way to peace. Share this video with someone who's exhausted from the ego's curriculum, someone who's tired of lessons that lead nowhere, someone who's ready to discover that learning can be joyful, clear, and actually transformative. And leave a comment below. Which curriculum have you been following? What shifts are you ready to make? What lessons from the Holy Spirit are you beginning to understand? Your insights help create a community of willing students learning together. Thank you for your willingness to learn. Thank you for choosing sanity over insanity. I'll see you tomorrow.